Welcome everyone. In this video, we will learn about automatic caching. For that, let's go to DB API, MySQL 8, Inventory and Cities table, and we want to get all the cities. We said that we are getting the data. Now let's enable the caching. For that, we can go to Database APIs, MySQL 8, Inventory, Cities table. We'll add the collection settings, and here we just need to enable caching true. Simply save it, come back to that previous tab, we'll send that and we'll get the data from cache. First time we'll send, it will get the database data, and after that it will get the data from cache. Now let's say we want to limit only 2 records. We'll send that, we'll get from database, and second request will get from the cache. Now in the table, when caching is enabled, if we perform any modification like update, delete or create a new entry, then this cache will be reset automatically. So for that, let's go to save single multiple body. We'll generate one record, state ID, let's say 1. We'll send that. Now we got the success. Now again let's simply hit the get all, and this time we should get the fresh data, not the cache data, right? We are getting the fresh data. After that we'll getting the caching data. Now let's open the address table. We'll hit the get all API. We are using the city ID, and when we depopulate that city ID, it will utilize that caching. We just saw table or collection level settings. But from this database level settings, you can enable caching for entire database also. If you modify table data in any other way, from custom API code or direct API hit or any migration script or any pre or post hook, scheduler, event, anyway, will maintain the caching state properly. If you are directly accessing your database from any other way, and if you perform any modification in caching enabled database or table, you can hit our system API to reset the cache inside the API. To use the system API, just click on this test icon, go to body, click on generate single, or you can generate multiple payload also. Just provide instance, database and collection name and hit the send button. And you will see that it did reset 2 keys in the Redis. If you open the documentation, you can see in API system API's reset database cache, this is how you can use inside the code also. Let's see how custom API caching works. For that, let's go to custom API. I have already created this one simple API. Here code is just returning hello world, and in the settings I have enabled caching to true. When I send it, we are getting fresh data, but after that when we send, we are getting the caching data. Now when we do any change in body payload, let's say we sending the like this, we'll again get the fresh data, but next time we'll get the cache data. So when we have any change in our body payload, it will hit the API and execute the code and return the latest data, but the same payload is used, we can get the cache data. Now even if the same payload is used and we want to get the fresh data, we can pass this header value XAM cache control to reset cache and we'll get the fresh data. This is also useful in instance APIs also. If you pass this header value as a reset cache in any API, it will ignore the cache and execute the code and give you the proper output of that code. without caching, and also it will cache the latest output, and no action it will perform the cached data like that. When you have a caching enabled in custom API, either you can use this type of header and send it from your front end or any mobile application, or you need to maintain some kind of mechanism to reset the cache. For example, you can create a scheduler to reset the cache on every 5 minutes, 10 minutes like that. Or when you know that data is already changed, you can reset the cache using system APIs, or you can specify dependency in this setting. Caching in custom API is very useful when you are using any third-party APIs which can cost money on every API hit. We can use caching to reduce API hits of that third-party API. For example, we are getting social security number from user and we are hitting some third-party API and getting the data and returning result of that API. And if caching is enabled for that, when we get the same number, it will not hit the actual API and return the data. As we know, social security number details are not updated that much frequently, so we can cache it for maybe few hours or few days also, depends on our business application. And if we request using this header reset cache, it will try to hit the actual API and fetch the latest data. Now let's see how automatic caching works in third-party APIs. Let's go to third-party APIs. This is FTP utility bundle and it is version 1.0.0. Now on a version level, we have API settings, and if we add new settings, we can see this enable caching to false. We can make it true and we can save it. We will not get this enable caching on API levels. If you see these APIs, this is get API, getting list of files of the directory. When we hit this API, and if you see the category Redis is get data, that means it is just getting the data. It is not doing any modification in the FTP state. If you see this API last modified file, we are getting the data. Download file, we are getting the data. Download file, we are getting the data. But when you delete the file, it is modifying state of the FTP, and after performing delete file, or when you hit this delete API, it will reset the cache, and after that it will give you fresh data. Same way, if you append the file, it will reset the Redis cache. Same way, if you upload any file, it will reset the Redis cache. But if you keep hitting these get APIs, you can get the data from cache. So this is how it knows that did we change any state in FTP or not. And based on that, it can maintain caching automatically, and you will feel your FTP operations are very fast. Same way, you can use caching in system APIs, but most likely you will not need that. If you want to enable caching here, just click on this plus icon and make it as a true. So if the same payload is given, first time it will hit the actual API, and after that it can return data from the cache. In case of custom APIs and third-party APIs, you can define these settings on every third-party or custom API if you want that this custom API or third-party API is using this data, and when they are modified, please reset the cache of this current custom API. I have given proper example in custom API video, you can check that, but in short, if data of this instance, this database or this collection is changed, please reset the cache of this custom API. If this bundle or API version modified data API is called, please reset cache of this custom API. Or if this particular custom API is called, please reset cache of this current custom API. You can set this type of dependency and they will reset cache automatically.